Welcome back to more Comicstorian Top 10s. Last week, we did Marvel's Darkest Stories, and this week, we're doing DC's Darkest Stories, because I like my comics the way I like my coffee. Dark. I'm sorry, that was awful, but I really do drink a lot of cold brew in the morning. Number 1, we have NIGHTWING. Let's get straight into it. After setting up shop in the city of Bloodhaven, Dick Grayson began training with the heroine Tarantula, who would become a vigilante. In issue 93, we saw Nightwing fighting his worst possible enemy, Blockbuster, who had learned what his secret identity was. Badly beaten, Dick Grayson managed to stop Blockbuster for a moment, and arriving with a gun, Tarantula offers to end the threat for good. Realizing that Blockbuster would never stop, Dick steps aside and he walks away, allowing Tarantula to shoot Blockbuster point blank in the head. Seeing the blood everywhere and realizing what he allowed to happen, Dick stumbles to the rooftops and he goes into shock. Seeing him in this state, Tarantula straddles him and consoles him. Nightwing feebly tries to tell her to stop, but he's physically unable to. This moment has been a topic of controversy for many years, with some arguing whether this constitutes as rape or if Tarantula was simply trying to help him, bringing him through the emotional and physical trauma that he experienced. I'll let you decide what happened here, though. Number 2 on our list is Identity Crisis. This storyline shows the lengths of the world's most powerful superheroes who go to protect their identities. After a elongated man's wife Sue is found murdered with her body badly burned, Dr. Light becomes the prime suspect. While they search for the villain, it's revealed that at one time Dr. Light had broken into the JLA watchtower and raped Sue. To stop this from ever happening to any member of the team or their loved ones again, the team voted to allow Zatanna to wipe Dr. Light's memories and turn him into a useless, bumbling supervillain. While this is bad enough, it's also revealed that there have been other occasions when the team had to erase memories, when secret identities have been threatened. The story showed some true darkness in some of the villains within the DC universe, something that bright costumes and goofy plans might make you forget exist. It also shows the truly awful things that the heroes, the people that are supposed to protect the innocent, will do to protect their own secrets. Number 3 is Batman, A Death in the Family. Published in 1988, A Death in the Family followed Jason Todd, who was relieved of his Robin duties by Batman. Leaving in a rage, Jason sets out across the world looking for his birth mother. And eventually his quest takes him to Ethiopia, where he's kidnapped by the Joker and beaten to death with a crowbar. This is a dark moment in the history of comics, not because the Joker killed Jason. The Joker's killed thousands of people. No, it was the reason behind Jason Todd dying. Introduced as a replacement to Dick Grayson in 1983, Jason didn't have the cheerful attitude that Grayson had, but was more instead a foul-mouthed, impulsive, bad-tempered kid. As the years went on, Todd became increasingly unpopular with the readers, and the editors decided that it was best to retire the character, possibly killing him off. At this time, editors came up with the idea that the fans should get a chance to decide what would happen, setting up 2 different phone numbers. The readers were then encouraged to call in to vote whether they wanted Jason Todd to survive or not. This is a dark moment, not for what the Joker did. The Joker is a psychopath and a murderer. No, this is a dark moment because the readers stood up and said, yes, murder to the young boy. Granted, he's fictional still, and granted, there is a lot of controversy as to whether or not it was cheated on. Either way, it was voted to murder a kid. Number 4, we have Batman, The Killing Joke, written by Alan Moore in 1988. The Killing Joke provided a potential origin story for the Joker. The story shows that the Joker was a family man and failed comedian who had one bad day that pushed him over the edge and drove him insane. To try and prove to Batman that the world was truly an awful place, and anyone can have one bad day, the Joker kidnaps Jim Gordon and tortures him both physically and mentally, trying to push him over the edge. It begins with the shocking event of the shooting and paralyzing of Barbara Gordon right in front of Jim Gordon, and it is strongly implied that she has been assaulted while the Joker begins to take pictures. Kidnapping Gordon, the Joker locks him in an abandoned amusement park, dressing him up in bondage gear, drugging him, and forcing him to see photos of his daughter, naked, bloodied, and in pain. In all of the history of the Joker's most heinous acts, this could possibly have been the worst. I have no witty remarks to go with this one. Number 5 is Injustice. In this alternate reality, we see Superman rise up to take over the world. Working with several members of the Justice League, Superman implements martial law across the world, forcing Batman to put together his own team to resist the new regime. It all begins when Clark discovers that Lois is pregnant, and their happiness is short-lived, because Lois is quickly kidnapped and Jimmy Olsen is found executed. His lifeless body is laying next to a Joker card. Superman reaches out to Batman and the rest of the Justice League to help him find Lois, and once he finds Joker and Harley Quinn in a sub in Metropolis Harbor, he confronts them and finds Joker operating on Lois. Before he can react, Joker sprays him with some sort of gas. He then becomes dizzy, and as his vision clears, he's confronted by Doomsday, the creature that he once fought to the death. Fearing for Lois and his unborn child, he grabs the beast and flies him into space. Before the Joker could escape, though, he's quickly captured by the rest of the League. Batman, recognizing the effects of Scarecrow's fear toxin, realizes what is happening and tries to stop Clark, but it's too late. Clark stares in horror as he sees Lois floating in front of him. As both heartbeats stop, the trigger that Joker implanted in her detonates a nuclear bomb in Metropolis, killing hundreds of thousands. After realizing the death and destruction that he has caused, Superman flies to where Batman has been questioning the Joker, and without saying a word, he steps across the room and puts his fist through the Joker's chest. This event shows what can happen if you push the most powerful being on the planet over the edge, and it actually proves Joker's theory that all it takes is one bad day. Number 6 is Batman No Man's Land. I'll do one more Joker moment and then we'll move on. I promise! It's not all Joker. No Man's Land was a story that saw Gotham becoming abandoned and isolated by the US government. A story detailed life within the city from the time of isolation to abandonment, until the city is reopened and reclaimed by the government. In Detective Comics 741, the Joker has kidnapped several infants and held them hostage in the basement of the police station. Sarah Essen, the wife of Jim Gordon, is the first one to find the Joker, and she gets the drop on him and has him at gunpoint. Holding a baby in his arms, the Joker aims the pistol at the baby's head. Knowing what she'll do out of instinct, the Joker tosses the baby, forcing her to drop her weapon and catch the child. The Joker calmly shoots her in the head, leaving the dead woman in a pool of her own blood surrounded by babies. Walking away, he shows no smile, no laughter, only a frown on his face, and for whatever reason, the Joker found no joy in this murder, which somehow, I'm really not sure why, makes it worse. Number 7 is Green Lantern's Women in the Refrigerator. Now published in 1994, Green Lantern number 54 featured a moment that was dark enough to actually start a feminist movement that changed some things about the way comics were written. In this issue, the current Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, returns home to find his girlfriend, Alexandra DeWitt, has been murdered and stuffed into a fridge by Major Force. The image of Kyle discovering her folded in half and stuffed into a fridge is quite chilling. This death using anger and revenge motivated Kyle into stopping the villain, like he always does. This moment was so disturbing and controversial that it motivated a movement in comics started by writer Gail Simone. The term women in the refrigerator became used anytime a woman was killed, raped, injured, or depowered just to motivate a male character. While this writing trope didn't go away completely, it is something that doesn't happen with the same frequency like it did before. Sometimes dark moments can have a positive effect. Number 8 is Emerald Twilight. Now, in the mid-90s, during the reign of the Superman event, Coast City and its 7 million inhabitants were wiped out by Mongol and cyborg Supermen. Current Green Lantern Hal Jordan was driven insane by the destruction of his hometown, believing that he could rebuild Coast City if he stole enough energy from the main Green Lantern power battery. He set out across the galaxy, murdering every member of the Green Lantern Corps and his old nemesis Sinestro. In the end, he would go on to become the villain Parallax, and as it turns out, DC editors felt that Hal Jordan was becoming stale and they wanted to make way for a new, younger Green Lantern in Kyle Rayner. Instead of retiring the character and allowing him to leave with dignity, they turned him into a galactic murderer. Eventually, Hal would be redeemed to become a Green Lantern again, but it was still a dark road to go down just to make room for a new character. Number 9 is All-Star Batman and Robin. Frank Miller isn't known for his light-hearted storytelling, but he went a little crazy with his run on All-Star Batman. The story makes Batman more brutal and maniacal than ever before. While he searches through the night for the murderers of young Dick Grayson's parents, he comes across a new vigilante known as Black Canary. The young woman is in the midst of combat with a street gang, and instead of using his arsenal of batarangs and other bat-themed gadgets, the goddamn Batman decides to teach a science lesson and douses the thugs in bleach and sets them ablaze, burning them alive. How do two costumed heroes celebrate after burning some people? Well, they have sex in the docks in the rain. In costume. Hot, I guess, if you're into that. Number 10 is Joker. Okay, I lied. One more Joker moment. In The Joker, written by Brian Azzarello, the clown prince of crime is portrayed as a sadistic mobster out to regain his criminal empire. He does this by raping, murdering, and generally being awful throughout Gotham, as you would assume. At one point, the Joker ends up in a strip club. Some words are had with the owner of the club, and it all ends with the Joker peeling the flesh off of his body and forcing him to dance on the stage before he dies. Also, the cover's just creepy to this one. And there you have it, 10 of the darkest DC storylines that we could find. Now give us some more stuff you want down below in this top 10 series. What other interesting things would you like to see right here at Comicstorian, your home for comic book knowledge? At least I hope it is. Kind of digging it if you do that. It's awesome. And if you like it, you could give us a subscription and share this video. Don't forget to like it as well. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.